4 quarterback fantasy football breakouts for 2024. I think there's two ways to look at what a fantasy football breakout actually is. Number one, it could be a player who takes a substantial leap in their fantasy football production. Example is Brock Purdy from last year. He averaged the 6th most fantasy points per game for the quarterback position at 19.2 after ranking 29th as a rookie in the year prior. I also think a breakout player can be a year one player who has an immediate fantasy football impact. CJ Stroud as a rookie last year averaged the 7th most fantasy points per game. In both of these examples, these players were extremely valuable, difference makers for their positions, and advantages to have in fantasy football lineups. So who's breaking out in 2024? Number one, we have Anthony Richardson, who had a small sample size of games in his rookie season last year, but we saw a lot of green flags in those games. Richardson played in 4 games, but he only played 2 full games. In those 2 games, week 1, 24 for 37 for 223 passing yards, a passing touchdown, and an interception, 10 rushing attempts for 40 yards and a rushing touchdown, 21.9 fantasy points, the quarterback 4 of the week. Then in week 4, 11 for 25 for 200 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing attempts for 56 yards and a rushing touchdown, 29.6 fantasy points as the quarterback 2 of the week. 4 appearances, 2 of those 4 appearances, he was a top 4 fantasy quarterback. There were concerns of him as a passer, but he looked decent through the air in that small sample size. 4 rushing touchdowns in 4 games just speaks to what we expect out of Anthony Richardson's upside. Looking ahead to 2024, Michael Pittman Jr. was just extended. That is their alpha wide receiver. Jonathan Taylor is healthy. Josh Downs had a fairly good rookie season. They selected A.D. Mitchell in the 2nd round of this year's NFL draft as a field stretcher. The Colts added some offensive linemen. I also digged into some data that detailed 78.94% of quarterbacks who rushed for 500 plus yards finished as a top 10 fantasy quarterback across the last 5 seasons. So we have a freak athlete and Anthony Richardson that flashed as a rookie in a very good system. I think he has top 5 upside. Number 2 here is Caleb Williams from the Chicago Bears, the number 1 overall draft pick in 2024. Caleb produced 10,082 passing yards and 93 passing touchdowns, paired with 986 rushing yards and 27 rushing touchdowns in his college career. 2022, he won the Heisman Trophy winner after passing for 4,537 yards. He led the FBS in passing touchdowns that year with 42. Extremely productive guy at the end of the day. I mean, he's one of the best quarterback prospects we've seen in a very long time. Elite arm talent. He makes plays at all 3 levels, even with a noted poor offensive line. Caleb Williams shows the ability to play under pressure, escape, extend plays. He's mobile inside the pocket. He can break off runs himself. He makes off-balance plays and throws. Very good IQ, very good vision. He's an overall playmaker. And then you look at the system that he's stepping into. DJ Moore just had a career-high 1,364 receiving yards in 2023. Keenan Allen was very good for the Chargers last year when healthy. Rome Odunze led the FBS in receiving yards this past season. He was selected with the 9th overall draft pick by Chicago. Cole Kmet himself is coming off of a career-high 719 receiving yards from 2023. Gerald Everett's now on the team. He used to be a starter himself. And I love me some DeAndre Swift, pass-catching dual-threat running back. So you have a very, very good prospect in Caleb Williams stepping into what I think might be the best ever situation for a rookie quarterback. We saw CJ Stroud break out last year as a rookie. Caleb is up next. At number 3, I'm going to stick with another rookie, Jaden Daniels, who was selected by the Commanders, number 2 overall in this year's NFL Draft. 2023 was a major year for Jaden Daniels. He won the Heisman Trophy. He was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, among some other awards. Not only did he produce 3,812 passing yards and 40 passing touchdowns, but he also rushed for 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns that season. Daniels is the only player in FBS history to pass for 12,000 yards and rush for 3,000 yards through 55 games. Athletic abilities include the combination of speed, agility, and plus arm strength. Solid pocket management. He is able to evade pressures while moving around the pocket. His arm strength allows him to make plays at all 3 levels. He has noted deep ball accuracy. This guy creates plays, effectively throws on the run. He's an electric runner. Daniels is the epitome of a dual threat quarterback. And remember earlier, I noted that my research from the last 5 seasons details 78.94% of quarterbacks who rush for 500 plus yards finish as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Daniels is a quarterback who can rush for 500 plus yards in 2024. While Daniels doesn't have the upside and weapons that Caleb Williams does, he has a fairly good offense. Terry McLaurin has finished 4 straight seasons over 1,000 receiving yards. I still believe in Jahan Dotson, a former first-round draft pick from 2022. Austin Eckler joins the Commanders. He is going to be a guy that can take the dump-off passes from Daniels. Ben Sano, another rookie selected in the second round, might have a good connection with Daniels that grows. Dual threat quarterback, fairly good team. Don't let Daniels slip into the shadow of Caleb Williams. And then at number 4, I'm going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa. 2023 was the first year Tua played a full season after playing 13, 13, and 10 games 3 seasons prior. Tua averaged the 9th most fantasy points per game in 2022 at 18.4, but we can't really consider that a breakout because he didn't play a full season. This past year, he averaged the 16th most fantasy points per game at 16.7, but I have optimistic that'll grow. Here's some numbers for Tua versus the position in 2023. Number 9 in passing attempts and deep ball attempts. Number 7 in red zone attempts. Number 1 in passing yards, 4,624. Number 5 in passing touchdowns, 29. Number 10 in air yards. Number 2 in yards per attempt. Number 1 accuracy rating. Number 7 in true completion percentage. Number 2 in deep ball completion percentage. Number 7 in play action completion percentage. Number 10 in red zone completion percentage. Number 4 in clean pocket completion percentage. Number 6 in true passer rating. Number 7 in completion percentage versus man. Number 9 in completion percentage versus zone. Number 8 passer rating versus man. Number 12 passer rating versus zone. Number 9 accuracy rating versus man. Number 5 accuracy rating versus zone. Via player profiler. That was a lot to take in, so let me spark note that really quickly here. He was very productive through the air. He was highly efficient and extremely accurate. Look at the system Tua has. It gives him a very safe floor when it comes to fantasy football and production. He has arguably the most explosive wide receiver duo in the NFL with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Hill was a yard shy of 1,800 receiving yards, and he scored 13 touchdowns in 2023. He looked nearly unstoppable. Jalen Waddle was just extended himself. His numbers were down in 2023, but he did have 1,356 receiving yards and scored 8 touchdowns in 2022. Jonnu Smith was brought in. Odell Beckham Jr. was brought in. They drafted Malik Washington in round 6. The trio of Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, and Jalen Wright out of the backfield brings them a more balanced offense. I think Tua is often disrespected. This guy had a very good 2023 season from flat production, and I think he will grow. It'll continue to translate towards better fantasy football scoring. Be sure to follow for consistent fantasy football content to help you guys win your leagues.